Excuse me, miss. I'm lost. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Where is this place? Excuse me. During the dating days, Miss Salima, I was very fearful of Salima families, especially her father. He was really a boxer. But I stood my ground. I stood firm. Salima told me, no, we can't get married because the family doesn't allow us. But I told her, no, I cannot live without you because I know that she is the love of my life. Becoming a father, the first time, is very fearful. And I keep on thinking, how can I perform a good job, as a father? But Salima said that I was a good father. I was definitely fearful of public speaking, but I still very firm. I just carry on with all the engagement I have and just continue. But now I'm very fearful of losing my mind. I was having tremendous migraine, headaches. I keep on forgetting a lot of things, Then I remember one day we were trying to switch on the stove, and I couldn't switch on the stove. And the best part was Salima finding me drinking coffee inside the toilet. Then I know that there was something serious about me. So we decided to get diagnosis. And when it was confirmed that I was having young onset dementia, I couldn't take it. I went back home, wasting my time at my balcony. I was in a depression mood. It was very bad. It was terrible. It was torturous. But, come on. I doesn't want my life to be that way. I want to put a full stop to that. I start Googling. I start to get everything. I sketch everything on my notebooks, whatever information about young onset dementia. I wrote it down, I put it in a nice format. For who? For Salima and for my 3 children. Then I called one by one my children. Yes, they couldn't take it. They saw that strong, always in control, a father figure as now having dementia. I told them, enough. We move on. This is not the end.
When I first heard of his diagnosis of dementia, I really got shocked. I cried, and it was really heartbreaking. And I remembered the promise I made to him 32 years ago to do through the challenge all together throughout our marriage. And luckily, I have a supportive, loving and caring children to help us. And I will support him till the end.
Yeah, life goes on. I just take it one day at a time. Every day I clean the cat litter, I water the plants, I watch TV, I read newspapers. My wife Salima reminds me to pray. I take my meals at set times. And to me, the routine is very, very good. It helps me a lot. I love going out to the park, and meet friends, for tea or coffee. That's why I want to educate people, to help them understand about dementia. So we all know how to react around people with dementia and provide the right support. I share my stories to support other person with dementia. I'm a self-advocate for dementia. After all, courage is not absence of fear, but the triumph of it. Whatever life throws back to me, I'll keep on fighting. Because I have a good, strong family support. That's it. Be Sanjang. I just doesn't know how to lose.
Hello everybody, welcome. Thank you for waiting. We will begin in a few minutes. All right. A very good evening to everyone. My name is Sharin Jori, and I will take you through tonight's event, From Dark to Light, Shedding Light and Opening Doors to Persons with Dementia and Their Families, a Medical Perspective. But before we do that, let me introduce myself. I recently just graduated from my studies in Masters at Roehampton University in the UK, and I did dance, politics, and sociology. So in my course of studies, one of the course that I took is about community engagement, and it's about how can I use the art as a vehicle to make a difference in our society. So here I am today with this group, the Chapal Malay Dementia Community, hoping that I can use what I've learned and practice it with this group. With that, before we begin, there are a few house rules that I would like you to observe so that we can have a smooth journey as well as a pleasurable viewing pleasure. Yeah. Firstly, do mute your mic so that everyone can enjoy this event. If you have any questions or comment during the webinar, you can choose to write them in the question in the chat box at the bottom. And alternatively, you can also, if let's say you have any issues, if any technical issues through this, just message any one of us and we'll try and attend to you. If you take a look at the chat box right now, you can actually see the house rules that has been placed there by Mr. Rahman. And also do know that please do not record this event unless if you are allowed to, if you ask us for permission. But if you want to take screenshots of this webinar, it's fine, or little sound bites, it's fine. And if you were to use them to post on other social media platform, do remember to tag us as the Chapal Malay Dementia Community. Another thing, if let's say you would like to have a subtitle, because Dr. Radiah later will be speaking, and let's say there are some English or let's say non-English listener, you can actually turn on your captioned. Okay, if you would click on the bottom bar, there's this thing called closed caption. And if you were to click on it, in the first bar, it says show subtitle. And if you click show subtitle, and there you can see the word hello that is being written right now. And Mr. Rahman will be trying his best to type as much of the translation, depending if it's Malay or is it English. Yes. With that, let me introduce the event organizers. We have the Chapal Malay Dementia Community. or in short, you can call us CMDC. We are a group of volunteers that come together with the aim to bridge gap in our community, especially in the Malay Muslim community, with regards to dementia. Our vision is to bring awareness to people with dementia, provide them avenues for in our society for them to be integrated, and also to give them support and knowledge for the caregivers and family. Based on our research and what we notice is that there are not many Malay person who come, or person who is suffering from dementia who comes forward to get diagnosed or to seek for help. It's either one because of the stigma that was in the cloud. For example, they will call the word nyanyo, which is also another term where they think it's crazy. And because of that stigma, many people or many families didn't want to step forward. And with that fear, they hide themselves. And in the end, they end up suffering. And family members and caregivers do not know the way to, like, help these people or help the person who is suffering. So for us, because of that, we came together, and Mr. Anjang, who I'll introduce later, he got us together so that we can try find different avenues to raise awareness. For myself, it's through the arts, and like this event today, through this platform, we hope to share more stories as well as more insight to people who are suffering or people who are in this community. And to know who are the members, I would like to introduce them right now. Firstly, we have Mr. Anjang. Mr. Anjang, he's the man who brought us all together. And he's also my uncle. He's also a person who lives with dementia, as you saw the video earlier, right? And next up, we have Mr. Rahman. Mr. Rahman, he is a former chief sub-editor from Singapore Press Holding in Berita Harian, and he is also writing our subtitles right now. And next up, we have Ms. Zaza Kasnan. Sorry, she's an education officer. Yes. And we have our lovely Ms. Linda Marov. She's an activist, as well as the board of director at the humanitarian organization for migration economics, also known as HOME. And she's also an assistant secretary at the Malay Activity Executive Committee at the Yuhua Community Club. And we also have a lady who inspires me. This is Ms. Joanna. She's a literary artist, and she has published several books, and one of them is my favorite, which is called A Place in the Sun. She's also a person who is diagnosed with bipolar condition, and it's empowering to have her on board to contribute back to society, despite the fact that she has a condition as well. So thank you for inspiring me. And lastly, you have myself, which I've already introduced, and thank you. Before we begin, all of us here would like to say a very big thank you for joining us and taking the time to be here with us. We hope we can spread this cause of creating an awareness, and through whichever medium that we're trying to do, we hope that it can reach out to many. And I hope through today's platform, we're able to give you a better understanding of how people are going through with dementia, how we can cope with it, or how we can have a better understanding of the community, the dementia community. And for myself, I hope that through the arts, I'm able to create a positive impact in terms of making a change in our society. And without further ado, we shall begin tonight's event. Just give me a moment. Okay. As you all can know, today is 21st of September. It is World Alzheimer's Day. And to commemorate today's event, we have lined up a few activities today. And first of all, we have a presentation, which is it's called Under the Bridge series, which is led by me and a group of my friends. And we are a group of people who come together to just create a spirit, a gotong royong kind of spirit. And what we did is we came together and we used a poem that was written by Joanna. And Miss Joanna written beautiful poems, 3 poems for us to interpret. And through the poem, we hope that, I can inspire the youth to have an insight of how people with dementia are going through. Because in 3 of our poems, we have 3 different perspectives, which I will elaborate later. And in the next part of our event tonight, we have Dr. Radiah. She is a founder and honorary president of Club Heal Singapore. And Club Heal, which represents the idea of hope, empowerment, acceptance, and love, aims to assist and empower people with mental health issues to regain confidence in themselves and others in their journey towards community integration. And we today, CMDC is working with Club Heal with regards to efforts on dementia. And Dr. Radiah later will be speaking on dementia from a medical perspective. And on the third segment, we're going to have a question and answer where you are able to raise some questions and issues or give us some insight, or you can share your thoughts and comments as well. All right. I hope everybody is good. And if, let's say, in the question and answer, you have anything that you want to say in between, you can also write in the chat at the bottom. If some of you are not sure how to use Zoom, if you can see at the bottom of your bar, there's this thing called chat. If you click on that and you get to look on your right hand side, you get to see the chat group. I'm going to say hello here and see if everyone received that. Hello. Yes. And also there's a reaction button where you can choose to add reaction like good, like a thumbs up. Right now I did it. Or a clap if, let's say, you enjoy. Yeah. Okay. Without further ado, I would like to begin today's event with the first poem that was written by Miss Joanna, and it's called Panjang Pendek Ceritaku, which in English means long short my story. And this poem, it comes from a perspective, or it is from a perspective of a grandfather who is talking to his grandchild. And this poem is recited by Sufi Juwahir, and music is by Luis Marquez. This work is co-created and performed by Sabrina Nik Yusni, Hakim Alianto, Hirzi Jasmine, Sharu Muhammad, Afika Rapini, Sufi Juwahir, and myself. Behind the scene, we have co-creator and video director Nur Aslinda Miant, videographer and editor Rizuko, as well as backstage crew, we have Kevin Tristan. So without further ado, I am going to screen you Panjang Pendek Ceritaku.
Sampai di sini ceritaku buat sementara. Wahai cucuku, walau perjuangan masih panjang, namun ingin ku rehat seketika. Menghirup angin petang, mendung yang menghalang, sinaran mentari yang tenggelam. Kegelapan bakal menyinar. Satu kehidupan, satu perjuangan tidak berakhiran, hingga dibelai sang malaikat yang meragut sehalus jiwa, dimandikan dengan derita. Kederitaan dijadikan pedoman buat mata yang memandang, yang perit adalah kesayangan. Adinda dan ananda sekalian, namun kusyukur tabah melalui ujian. Walau sekala merungut, merintih di malam hari, sujudku adalah hadiahku bagimu. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Wadud. Dalam keperitan, ku rasa manisnya kepuasan, kerana aku adalah insan yang terpilih untuk mendekatimu, sering berdoa, memanggil namamu. Lalu ku senyum di dalam syurgaku. Wahai cucuku yang comel, mesra. Ku di jambatan menuju penghujung jalan. Sementara ku di sini, ku bermain denganmu. Walau ingatan pudar dan sering keliru, ku takkan lupa namamu. Berdansalah bersamaku buat seketika. Sememangnya masa pendek buat semua. Sesaat inilah yang dimiliki kita. Masa silam telah berlalu, masa depan belum tentu. Ayo bernyanyi kita bersama. Buaian merdu meluput kesayuan. Hidup bukan hanya bersukaria, menuju semata-mata Sang Pencipta. Dengan keikhlasan, kepayahan menjadi keindahan. Terpilih kita bersama, insan-insan yang berjaya.
Okay, welcome back. We hope you have enjoyed that first presentation. And thank you, Miss Joanna, for that beautiful poem. Okay, if you're interested to see the next one, it will come back. We have another poem, which is written by Miss Joanna as well. And we're going to show that after our next segment. So before we do that, I would like to now introduce Dr. Radiah. And we're going to invite her to give us a talk, a sharing of and more insight about people with dementia. And then you can have your thoughts. If let's see if any questions, you can actually write down in the chat and we'll try and attend to it, or we can just save it later for the question and answer segment. Without further ado, I would like to call upon Dr. Radiah to take on the space. Dr. Radiah, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to share about dementia. So without further ado, I'm just going to go on to my slides and refer to my slides as I give the talk. Okay. Okay, yeah. Many people have dementia. Look at the statistics. In 2018, there's 50 million people with dementia. Projected to have 82 million by 2030 and 152 million by 2050. And so I'm going to speak in Malay. So ramai manusia mempunyai demensia, 50 juta dalam dunia pada tahun 2018, dan number ini akan meningkat 152 juta tahun 2025. In Singapore, in 2015, 1 in 10 people age 60 has got it. 82,000 in 2018, more than 100,000 in a few years' time. That means right now. Yeah. So di Singapura pun sangat ramai yang mempunyai dementia. 1 dalam 10 orang umur 60 mempunyai dementia. There are 3 common misperceptions of dementia. So the first one, dementia is about being forgetful. No, it's not just about being forgetful, it's more than that. Second, misperception. Dementia is part and parcel of old age. So only old people get dementia. If you're old, you will get dementia. That is not necessary. That's not true. Although the older we are, the more risk to get dementia. And then the third misperception is that nothing can be done to help the condition. Again, there's plenty that we can do. Ada 3 salah tanggapan tentang penyakit dementia. Dementia bermakna lupa-lupa. Ia lebih daripada lupa-lupa. Dementia itu kerana tua, tak semestinya. Dan tak ada apa yang kita boleh buat untuk orang yang mempunyai sakit dementia, itu tidak benar. So there's a drawing a depiction of the human brain. The human brain is very complex. So you have different lobes. The frontal lobe, parietal means that it's at the side, temporal at the side too, and then the occipital lobe. So different parts of the brain contribute to different things. So frontal mainly our intelligence, judgment, and behavior. Temporal mainly memory, and then the parietal, which is I can't remember. Sorry, I'm not a neurologist. Okay, so keep going. All right. So the word dementia describes a set of symptoms that include not just memory loss, but also difficulties in thinking, problem solving, or language. Perkataan dementia itu bukan hanya melibatkan hilang memori, tetapi juga kesukaran dalam pemikiran, penyelesaian masalah, dan kesukaran dalam bahasa ataupun pertuturan.
Sorry, Dr. Radiah.
Yes.
Dr. Radiah, there seems to be some interference with the noise.
Oh, sorry.
The sound. Is it the fan? You don't have a fan?
Yeah,
on?
I've switched on the fan.
Yeah,
Is
sorry.
that
So
better?
the fan is
So
interfering with the sound. Another
Okay.
things you can just carry on with English. I will translate for you the.
Oh, okay. All right then.
Yes, carry on, please. Thank you.
Sorry. Thanks. Okay, so the changes small to start with, but for someone dementia, they can become severe enough to affect daily life, to affect the functioning, and then and a person with dementia can also experience changes in their mood or behavior, because especially if it affects their frontal lobe. So when we talk about signs of dementia, there are at least 10 signs. So you have, for example, misplacing things. That's under forgetfulness. Forgetfulness that affects day-to-day function. Then difficulty planning or solving problems. Withdrawal from work or social activities. Withdrawal from people. Poor or decreased judgment. Difficulty doing familiar tasks. For example, cooking, cleaning, shopping. Problems communicating, especially if it affects the language area. Changes in mood or behavior, changes in personality, confusion of time and place. That's partly because of memory loss. And when we talk about dementia, it's not just one type of dementia. There are different types, but the most common is actually Alzheimer's. That's better. Okay, when we talk about Alzheimer's disease, is the most common type of dementia, and this is due to some abnormal proteins that cause the brain cells to die. And Alzheimer's disease, the symptoms are often to do with loss of memory. So if you look at the picture there, healthy brain and severe Alzheimer's disease, very different. No? There's what we call atrophy, or the shrinking of the brain cells. And then the second type of dementia, the second common one is what is called vascular dementia. Vascular comes from the word vessel or blood vessel. So, and this happens when the blood supply to the brain is interrupted. For example, if you have a stroke. And when we talk about strokes, there's basically two types. Hemorrhagic stroke, that means when a blood vessel bursts. For example, if someone's got high blood pressure, not well controlled, and the blood vessel in the brain actually bursts, or there's an abnormal blood vessel that bursts, you can get a stroke. And then the second type of stroke is called ischemic stroke due to blood clots that block the flow of blood to an area in the brain. So I think hemorrhagic stroke is worse than ischemic stroke. A common thing that happen, quite common to people with diabetes who don't control the diabetes well, they can get small ischemic strokes, small ones, and that can contribute to vascular dementia. And so they get problems with thinking and planning and memory. Actually, it depends on which part of the brain is affected. And then there's another type of dementia with Lewy bodies. These tend to happen in younger people. The name comes from tiny structures inside the nerve cells or the brain cell. And this dementia, there's less to do with forgetfulness or memory loss, but the symptoms more to do with fluctuating or changing alertness. That means they can get drowsy or hyper alert. And then they can have hallucinations where they hear voices, or they can see things that are not there, visual hallucinations. And also problems with movement disorders. There's still another type called the frontotemporal dementia. This one not so common at all, but it happens when there's damage that happens in the frontal and the sides of the brain. So frontal dementia. So what is affected is the personality of the person. Our frontal lobe governs, affects a lot our personality and our behavior and language as well. Sorry, the parietal lobe controls the language area of the brain. So, and then when we talk about dementia, we talk about stages. What I'm showing here applies mainly to Alzheimer's disease dementia, because Alzheimer's is the most common. So early stage, the person may be forgetful, losing track of time and becoming lost in familiar places. Not too bad, can still function, but unpleasant to them and the loved ones. And then you have the middle stage dementia, where the dementia gets worse. The person becomes forgetful of even very recent events and people's names. Sometimes they forget whether they've had a meal, whether they've had breakfast, for example. So it's not a good idea to ask someone with dementia whether they've eaten. Instead, you can ask, are you hungry? They can feel if they're hungry, but if you ask whether they've eaten, they may not remember. Becoming lost in their own home, great difficulty with communication, needing help with personal care, like, activities of daily living, like having a shower, putting on clothes, and experiencing behavior changes, including wandering and repeated questioning, asking the same question again and again because they cannot remember. Now, the third stage is the late stage, where the person is unaware of time and place. They don't know whether it's morning or night unless they look out the window. They have difficulty recognizing relatives, so they may not even recognize their own children, for example. And this can be quite devastating to their family members. Having increasing need for assisted self-care, assistance in all activities, difficulty walking, and sometimes they can also be aggressive and due to behavior changes. This could be because they're hearing things and that is making them distressed. So depending on the stage of dementia, so when a person reaches stage 3, sometimes the family member really cannot cope, and sometimes the family will send their loved one to a nursing home for continued care. So how do we reduce our risks of getting dementia? Or even if we do have dementia, what should we continue to do so that, the dementia remains mild or doesn't progress too fast to middle or late stage. What are the 5 things that one can do to lower our risk of dementia? Number 1, it affects the brain, dementia. So let's try to stay mentally active as much as possible. Reading is good, writing is good, and then other games that involve a lot of brain activity like playing cards, crossword puzzles, board games, computer games. Learning a new language or musical instrument is a wonderful way of staying mentally active. One might argue, alamak, so old already lah, how to learn new language? Nothing is impossible if you really put your mind into it. Then the other thing that is helpful and reduces one's risk of getting dementia is to be socially engaged. Meet up with people for meals and activities. Volunteer work is wonderful because volunteer work not only makes a person happy, but it keeps a person occupied. You make friends. So join a club like Club Hill or the Chapal initiative. Participate in community events. Then the other thing is healthy eating. So more fruits and vegetables, less sugar and salt. I think people know this. Choose food that is low in fat and saturated food. Why? Because this will reduce our risk of getting hypertension or high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol. So very, very important to eat healthy food. And if you eat all the keropok and all those oily and food, it's not good for the emotions. You may be happy eating it, after that you feel bloated and you tell yourself, why did I just do that? Okay, keeping physically active. Exercise increases blood circulation and improve brain function. But the thing about exercise is not just about circulation. Exercise actually brings out all those feel-good hormones in the bodies, so it makes a person feel good, happy. And for people who smoke, who want to keep smoking, a good tip is to start exercising. That will help you to stop smoking. Start taking steps to an active life now. So exercise can be in the form of creative art like dance. That's a form of exercise too, and it's fun, accompanying music too. So, and last but not least, keep your health in check. So really, quit smoking. For those who smoke, go for regular health screening. Some people never go see the doctor. They thought, see the doctor, come out with money. I don't want to know if I have this and that. But if you don't go for health screening, we don't know sometimes that if you have high blood pressure or diabetes and so forth, because a lot of things stay hidden, until they become very bad. So health screening for anyone age 40 and above is very important. But even from a young age of 18, you should at least check your blood pressure. Monitor chronic conditions. So if you do have diabetes and high blood pressure and so on, make sure it's under control. Remember, vascular dementia is due to stroke, which happens if you have those other conditions that are not well controlled. The other thing to know is to avoid head injuries. And contact sports are not a good idea to pursue. For example, boxing, wrestling. Some people actually, hit the soccer ball with their head. That's a bad thing to do because you can injure the brain, even though it's housed in a skull. As much as possible, we don't want any head injuries because that will increase our risk of getting dementia. So stigma is due to ignorance. Tak kenal maka tak cinta. So it's important that all of us understand dementia and understand that if you see someone with dementia behaving in a less than pleasant manner or a strange manner, it's not just about the behavior. Think about the disturbance in the brain that has happened due to dementia that resulted in such behavior. So it is important to find out more. Dementia is a common condition, and as far as possible, we don't want to get dementia, but even if we do, we need to know what it is that we need to do to remain positive. The video earlier that we saw, Anjang, he's such a positive person, very wonderful to see that even though he has dementia, he's positive and he has a wonderful support of his family. And so how do we communicate someone with dementia? Show care. Care. And what is care? Care is when you speak to someone with dementia, use clear, simple language and be patient. Don't talk like the typical Singaporean. Da, 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 da. It's too fast. It's hard to catch. So clear, simple, and patient when talking to him or her. Acknowledge his or her concerns. Someone in dementia may be worried, because they can't really remember. Sometimes they don't know where they are. They don't know who you are sometimes. So acknowledge his concerns, his worries. The person may be having hallucinations, may be seeing things that you don't see. So acknowledge his concerns. Remember to always show respect to the person with dementia. Don't say, nyanyo, nyanyo, apa ni nyanyo. No. Respect, because in fact, it's true, a lot of people dementia are older people. So, but even younger people, we need to show respect and be reassuring. Be reassuring, remove their worries. And last but not least, E is for engagement. Engage that person so that you can provide comfort and build trust with him. Because someone with dementia can be very fearful of you, even people they know, because they cannot really remember sometimes. They've forgotten, and and that can result in difficult behavior. So engage them to provide the comfort and build the trust. So that's clear, acknowledge, respect, and engage. I think that's all I have to share. Not that much to share, because I thought I'd keep it short and simple.
Okay.
So that we invite questions and then can have, yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Radiah. That was really insightful.
Okay.
And I appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. But before we go into the question and answer segment, I would like to share, I'm excited actually to share the next poem. And all this is in light to commemorate World Alzheimer's Day, and for me to hopefully use the art as a vehicle for us to spread this love for this community, okay? I would like to now introduce the next work. It's called Sesuci Ingatan. Another, in translation, it means as pure as memories. This work is, poem is written by Johanna Abdullah, artistic direction, music composition, vocal and poem recitation is by me. And this work is co-created and performed by Sabrina Nikyusni, Akim Alianto, Kirsi Jasmine, Sharul Muhammad, Afika Rafi'i, Sufri Jawahir, and myself. Behind the scene, we have video direction by Nur Aslinda Miand, videographer and editor Ray Zuko, as well as backstage crew Kevin Tristan. Without further ado, let us have a look on the next work, Sesuci Ingatan. Sorry, let's do this again. Before you begin, this is a perspective from a son to his mother.
berderai air mataku memandangmu, ku keliru. Mama, ku seru namamu, namun kamu membisu. Ku pasrah mengenang nasibmu, Mama, kehilangan ingatan yang tertumpu. Ingatkah Mama ketika menghantarku ke tadika? Bersama kita berkelah, bercanda sesama keluarga. Ingatkah Mama ketika aku membelah rambutmu, menyelimutmu dalam kedinginan di keheningan malam? Hati kami bernyanyi, berdansa dengan irama syahdu, bersujud berjemaah, namun kehidupan satu perhijraan. Bolehkah gerakkan kami kembali senadi sejiwa? Kami senasib walau berbeza. Bolehkan kami mengimbas kenangan masa silam, tak lapuk dek penderitaan? Bolehkah kami membina harapan, cahaya untuk masa depan? Ingatlah Mama, kasih sedalam lautan, selembut sutera, sesuci ingatan. Mama, ingatlah hidup hanya persinggahan, tak akan akhir sebuah impian. Ayo Mama, bersama kami ukir kuntuman-kuntuman senyuman.
Thank you for watching that. All right, so we have now come to the segment for question and answer. If let's say you would like to say to vocal to ask question, you can raise up your hand or wave. I try and find and locate you, and I will spotlight you. But if let's say you're not comfortable in speaking, you can write your questions in the chat function at the bottom, and we'll try to attend to it as best as possible. We hope that we have, in a way, inspired you or reach out to some of you who are wondering what's dementia about. And through this platform, we hope you have a better understanding, a better insight. And maybe, if you have any questions, please, you can ask Dr. Radiah. She's here to answer some of your questions, to clarify things. And if let's say you're interested to know more about the dance that I created for this piece, I would like to have Johanna to share her side on how she wrote this poem and how she had to get an insight about people with dementia as well. So anyone, just give me a wave. Oh, let's say I see many of you never on your video, so I wouldn't get to see you waving. So I mean, it'd be nice if you could turn on your video so I can see who is here present with us. Oh, hello everyone. It's nice to feel, the presence of people.
Okay, just a while here. I'll just read from the chat. Evelyn Foster says that she thinks it is good to make eye contact when talking to those with dementia because they have problems to understand when one talks from the side and they can't see a mouth. Very good point.
Thank you.
And Azaha also says, taking care of our loved ones with dementia require lots of patience. That's true, because my father suffered from dementia in the last years of his life. So it requires a lot of patience. Carry on, Brother Shagan.
Okay. I'm just looking through for people who raise their hands. Anyone else on the floor would like to ask any question to Dr. Radiah or myself? Thank you for the compliment about the performance and the poem. Maybe I would like to take this time to ask Ms. Joanna to share with us what was the inspiration in writing the poem for the people with dementia?
Yes, we have a question from Nora. Brother Shagan?
From who?
Nora. Yes.
Hi, it's not really a question. It's more of like if you have a suggestion on how to help my grandmother, because she doesn't have dementia. At least we haven't checked that part yet. But she likes to boil water on the stove. She likes to turn on fire, and even though we bought her an electric kettle, she still uses the stove to boil water. And then because it's a live fire, we are just scared that she forgets. So what, other than actively telling her not to do that, like live fire instead of using the kettle, how do we sort of suggest or in a way encourage her to use the electric kettle instead? Yeah, she has once or twice forgotten to off the kettle a few times, so that is very dangerous. So just if you have any suggestions.
Maybe I can answer. What is important is, if possible, persuade her to go see a doctor. If possible, get a referral from the polyclinic to see a geriatrician. That means a specialist in older people, and then they can, check her out. Maybe she does. Sounds like she may have dementia. So it's good to get the diagnosis first, and then it's not just about getting diagnosed. Then once you know what the problem is, and then you know what the challenge is, then you can bring in the relevant experts, for example, the case manager or the psychologist. At Club Hill, we have people approaching us for people suspected of having early dementia, but we really encourage them to get the diagnosis. But even if they don't, we have trained staff who understands and dementia very well and can help educate the family members how to communicate better with their first loved one. So, remember, one of it is respectful and reassure. So whatever it is, when you communicate, you must show respect and be reassuring to that person, to your grandma. So I encourage you, if let's say your grandmother not keen to see the doctor yet, you may want to contact organizations such as Club Hill or Alzheimer's Disease Association, where we can visit, do a home visit, check out your grandma, and then together with you, work out a plan how to meet the challenge that you're having now. Is that helpful?
Yes, she said yes.
Is that
helpful to you?
Dr.
Yes.
Yeah, you can ring up Club Hill 68993463, or you can email info@clubhill.org.sg, and then our care worker can work it out with you. In my talk today, I didn't elaborate on the role of the caregiver. I just one slide only, because I feel how we communicate with someone with dementia, that requires a whole session by itself. So that could be future talks. Today is just an introduction.
So Dr. Radiah, there's actually another question to talk about communication, as you're mentioning. So there's this person, I'm not sure what's the name, saying that he's trying to find ways to communicate with his father who has Alzheimer's. and he said that he would climb up, and he believed that his father is hiding his thoughts, or whether he's going through it. It could be very difficult for him to communicate with his father. So
okay, to that I want to say that, you know, the thing about people with dementia, they may also at the same time have depression, and that's why they become uncommunicative. So we need to know, is it just the dementia, or is it he's got depression as well, or is it just his dementia, he has difficulty finding the words. Remember, someone with dementia, they have difficulty with language because it may affect that part of the brain that controls language. So it's very, when you say something to him, it's very hard for him to reply. You know, it may be that because he cannot find the words to explain. So yeah, that's why it's not so easy. It's good to, you know, get the help of someone who specializes in this, or you can also meet up with other caregivers. They may face similar challenges in communication. So is it his dementia that's causing him difficulty to talk, susah, or is it maybe he's depressed? You know, sometimes they know they have something, you know, and they get very frustrated.
Yeah, I'm going to call upon Mr. Anjang to share his thoughts because he wanted to say something earlier.
Yeah, Assalamualaikum. I'm sorry, Dr. Radiah, just to share something.
Okay, yeah.
For Nura is very, very important for the caregivers. I mean, for us who have dementia, it's very important. The first thing is safety at home. So, like right now, Lian Foundation, they have produced a book about, you know, on how you're going to arrange your furniture and everything at home. But for your case, okay, for a dementia person, it's very important the routine. Routine is very important. So the routine, then there must be intervention. Intervention means that, you know, if you see something that is not safe, you know, you must, as what Dr. Radiah say, you know, the care, slowly goes to your grandmother, you know, put her sit her down, hold her hand, talk, you know, eyes to eyes. Just tell her, you know, not to use. Whenever she use again, you know, just redirect her to whatever that you are buying, you know. So it must have a routine, a familiar routine. So for us, dementia person, okay, the first thing that is very important at home is safety. Secondly, the routine, the intervention of the caregiver. The caregiver must intervene, you know, whatever that you see, but not by scolding them, you know, no. Because as what Dr. Radiah said, they don't have really the mental, you know, they have a deficit inside their head. So you can always teach them new routines. New routines. They, when you see, very important. Once if the person with dementia, they really trust a caregiver. You know, I can tell you, you can do anything to him. You can ask him to sit down. You can ask him to, go to sleep or whatever. So you have to build up, one caregiver or two caregivers, everyone must really build up relationship. That's all. Thank you. Sorry, Dr. Radiah.
Anjang. Okay.
Yes, there's a comment that, it's very difficult when you don't get the support of the other family members.
Yes.
Yeah, actually there's a Malay saying lah, apa, berat sama dipikul, ringan sama dijinjing. But when you feel you're the only caregiver and the other family members are not supportive, then it's very difficult. So I suppose in a sense you need to try to engage the other family members, involve the other family members. If everyone does a little bit, then maybe it's not so.
Yeah, I have one more question here. They say, how do we answer to a person with dementia when their parents actually has passed away a long time ago? Do we go along with them, or do we tell them repeatedly that they have passed away? This is by Jimmy Yusof.
For me, the important thing is to be kind, you know. If you keep saying the person has passed away, you know, that is in a way, I think it's a bit cruel because as far as they are concerned, that person, maybe I'm more to the going along with them rather than, you know, or change the topic, you know. So you're saying that the parents say, or talking about the parents who have passed on. I mean, you can talk about old times, but we don't have to keep saying that the person, you know, that they've gone. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. We have one question from
kindness is the key lah.
Kindness. Hi. Hello, Kak Rohani. Do you have any question?
Oh, okay. Assalamualaikum. Saya cuma nak tanya, adakah ia satu penyakit depresi bila people with dementia bertanya soalan yang sama, macam seperti suami saya, dia kena vascular dementia dan dia dah tak bekerja lah. Tapi tiap hari dia tanya, hari ni kerja tak? Kenapa tak pergi kerja? So saya beritahu lah, explain. So dah lepas explain, dalam 1-2 minit dia tanya soalan yang sama. Dan dia perkara ni dah berlalu dah setahun lebih. Tanpa henti-henti pada pagi sampai malam. Jadi adakah ini satu depression? Itu soalan saya. Terima kasih.
Saya rasa from his point of view lah, because dia punya short term memory macam lost lah, really lost. Yang dia ingat benda lama, benda baru, new things dia tak ingat. Jadi bagi dia ingat yang lama yang you are working, you know. So maybe you can say lah, you're working but you're not working at home. You know, you can say work from home. Boleh lah, as long as he's happy lah. Because if you say not working, pun susah, right? But itulah, that is something that you can expect lah. Every day he will ask the same thing. The thing about people with dementia, if they are occupied with other things, is a good thing. Like Anjan say, have a routine for him and then activity that is interesting and helpful lah. So, but I suppose kita kena terima saja lah that he's going to ask the same question again and again.
Kena reda.
Kena reda. Perubahan tu susah untuk dirinya sebab memory recent semua dia dah tak ingat. Dia ingat yang benda lama. Anggaplah macam music lah, lagu.
InsyaAllah.
Yeah, but
saya akan cuba.
Kalau tidak frustrating juga kan.
Ya, betul. Frustrating. Itulah, saya akan cubalah atasinya. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Radiah. We have any more questions on the floor? Something that you would like to ask?
There's a question from Rin. What's the reason of the short-term memory loss? In the chat. That's all. Dr. Radiah?
I think it's very difficult because what happened is, especially Alzheimer's dementia, it affected the part of the brain that is to do with memory, the temporal lobe, you know. So new things is difficult for them to register. But all things dia boleh ingat because it's so entrenched in the brain. Macam dulu, perkara dulu, dia punya kawan dulu daripada primary school, semua dia boleh ingat. Ataupun cerita Piramli dulu dia boleh ingat because it's already entrenched. But for new memories, they cannot do it because it's that part of the brain that's affected lah, the temporal lobe to do with memory. So that's why they cannot remember new things. But the old things remain. Yeah. But not all dementia affect memory lah. But Alzheimer's especially affect the memory. I think macam Lewy body it would be different, you know. Sorry.
There's one question here. How do we communicate with someone with frontotemporal dementia who has lost her ability to speak and has cognitive impairment? Sorry.
Well, communicate is not always verbal, you know, not just words. You communicate through other ways, body language, a smile, a hug, you know, your eye contact. Unless you know the person the vision affected because they got cataracts or whatever, that's a different story lah. Is by the way, it's important to check that the person dementia, the hearing is okay, the eyesight is okay, because that can be, you know, there's something to go into as well. But verbal, if words are difficult, then communicate using body language.
Right.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
so. Sometimes you don't have to say much, just reassure. Siapkan makanan yang dia suka. Oh, sedap je makanan. Activity, fun activity, sing together, you know, pray together, read Quran together, whatever that makes the person. The important thing is togetherness, you know. Kadang-kadang people dementia, they feel very lonely and isolated. Nobody wants to talk to them, no layan, nothing, you know, then they're just at home doing nothing because but if they feel that people care and they care, you know, and still value them and love them, then the behavior usually improve. Because if they feel depressed because they feel nobody cares, and if then they will get depression as well, and that will make them even less communicative, or they can become aggressive. Oh, as a caregiver, does repetitive reminding works? I guess, is it really important to remember that particular?
Can I answer this question?
Yes, please, Anjang, please.
Okay, it's actually not so important, you know, for the person with dementia to remember everything, because the first thing, you know, you must understand that the person with dementia, the brain is already deficit. You know, you have at least 100%. What we have maybe 40%, 50%, and every dementia is very unique. You know, you can have that a person who was just diagnosed 2 years ago, but now cannot speak. You know, they cannot comprehend because of the part of the brain that is affected. So my advice is that always the safety of the person with dementia. Secondly, my advice to ensure that this person with dementia, whatever left with them, they will live a life with dignity and respect. Means that, you know, we should give them the dignity and respect. You know, because they cannot function. Those who can function, depending on the progression and everything, all that. So I think this is important. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have like maybe 1 or 2 more questions, final questions.
I saw there's a question on drinks to help improve memory loss or slow down. I don't think there's really such a thing as, you know, supplements to slow down memory loss. Not really. Yeah.
Okay.
There's been research lah, you know, kamin powder. What's that? Kunyit. Kamin. But, you know, so if you eat more curry, spices, it will help reduce incidence of dementia. But I think more important than that are things like healthy lifestyle, the exercise, the healthy food, you know, and staying away from bad habits and happy surroundings.
Okay, there's one question here.
Yeah.
For the less privileged, without the support of family members at home or caregivers, how do they go about their daily routine in terms of safety and etc.?
Well, if it's unsafe for them to be at home alone, then unfortunately they cannot be at home alone, you know. So that, but then to know whether it's safe or not safe, is good to have an assessment from the team that cares for people with dementia and their families lah. So an occupational therapist can help to assess whether it's safe for this person to be living alone. You know, I can say that many people are able to live alone, but this and cope, but then they don't have dementia and they're very actively going about their daily routine, going to work, come back. But if you have someone with dementia living alone, that's not very safe. So need assessment. Singapore government, we have a lot of agencies who can come in and do this. Alzheimer's disease, Clark Hill, and other government agencies. From the hospital, we have teams from the hospital who can assess safety. That's why, I mean, apart from nursing homes, hopefully in future we have better things for people with dementia. Maybe not nursing home, but like a group home where there's a communal living, and then there's a person in charge who can assist people with dementia who don't have caregivers. And then I saw a question: can one recover from dementia? Well, dementia is actually degenerative condition, So once you get it, unfortunately, there's no cure for it, you see. So you can become worse, but you can become worse very fast or very slowly, So the main thing is, whatever it is, we want quality of life, but really there's no cure for dementia.
Can I add something?
Unless the dementia is due to, it's not really dementia, it's due to B12 deficiency. They don't have enough B12. That one is not like Alzheimer's, all that. No? You give vitamin B12 injections and the memory improves. That's why when a person is first so-called have dementia, then we must find out, is it B12 deficiency? Is it due to low thyroid? People who have low thyroid can also be very forgetful. So if it's low thyroid, then it's not dementia. Then there's a cure for it. But if it's dementia, it's difficult. But Anjang, you have something to say. I want to hear. Your perspective is so refreshing and good.
Yes. Sorry to say, for a person, if let's say you suspect that someone has dementia, you have to bring to the expert, means to the neurologist. You must get, you have to do a lot of tests. They're testing, I normally I fail my test. Then after that test, you have to go for brain scan, MRI, and everything. That will determine the dementia that you have or whatever. But dementia is incurable, terminal, progressive, and fatal. But don't worry about these 4 words. I don't know, Dr. Radiah, but I'm sharing to everyone. For me, how I can survive these 14 years. I was in and out of hospital for so many times. I think more than 30, 40 times because of the dementia. I even have to, I'm a Muslim. I'm a very, I don't call myself as a pious Muslim, but I do everything. I do extra and everything. But I still have suicidal thoughts. When I have suicidal thoughts and they rush me to the hospital, stay in psychiatrist or whatever. So for people with dementia, they have to really, like me, what I did. I will write down on my trigger points or whatever during my good days. When good days, I can think very clearly and everything. And sorry to say, I took a lot of supplement. Actually, a lot of dementia medicine I've forgo because of the very bad side effect, and I've discussed it with my neurologist. So now I took a lot of what do you call that? Virgin coconut oil. I took a lot of turmeric, pure turmeric, which have high level of curcumin, plus a black pepper, and I do it myself. Then I took a lot of omega-3. I took a lot of black oil. I've took it for so many years, and you can see, now how's my condition. Last time was very, very bad. The fluctuation was very, very down. I punch people. I got whacked in the mosque. My aggression was very bad. But now, Alhamdulillah. And to me, to all Muslim, I mean here who are hearing this, I think they have to do some kind of self-improvement techniques or strategies. Like for me, let me share. I did a lot of meditation, tafakkur, in the morning after subuh. Then after before night, my affirmation, what do you call that? Yeah, my affirmation, say gratitude. Then I wake up at 4, doing my tahajjud and qiyam everything. So the thing is that about dementia, the psychotic attacks is always will go to your emotion. So you will feel very depressed, feel very isolated, this and that. So you have to change that the whatever that coming into your mind, that charge to your heart. You have to do something different, a positive kind of vibes and everything. This one really helps me a bit, a lot. I can say a lot. So I'm not saying that this is foolproof because there's no scientific research or whatever, but I still follow it for so many years. So people are very, sometimes they're surprised. Even my neurologists are very surprised. They say, why, how I can maintain a sustain. So there's a lot of hard work, very, very hard work. It's not just a matter of, I have to teach my caregivers, my wife, my children, everything. So I think it is now that we have to really outreach to the many Malay person who has dementia suffering, because there is technique and there is a place, for Muslim we have Club Hill, there's a dementia center and everything on. So we have the mechanism to help. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Anjang, and thank you, Dr. Radiah, for sharing us an insight and answering some of the questions. We really appreciate that, because all of us are here because we want to show care to this community, to the dementia community, to let them know that there are people around who like to reach out, to be there for them. Yeah, that's why we are here to, also celebrate World Alzheimer's Day, commemorating it. Sorry. I just want to say before we end, I actually have another dance video that I wanted to show, but I'm not going to show the full video. There's going to be a trailer that is going to be coming out in the next series, where we're going to get Mr. Anjang to come and share more of his stories. So in our next series engagement, we'll release the next video, and we're also going to have Mr. Anjang to be there to share his thoughts and stories, and for you to get to know more about how the caretaker, which is my aunt, and she'll probably share her experience as well. But without further ado, the next poem is actually called The Search for Home, written by Johanna, and I'm unable to download this earlier, so I'm just going to show it via here. look out for more. Join us in our next series. And these videos we will put up on our Chapal Malay Dementia Community Facebook, which has been written in the caption. And with that, I would like to inform you that the Chapal Malay Dementia Community is still in an infant stage. So we are very blessed to have people coming to support, like Dr. Radiah, to come and share with us this space with us. As we progress, we hope to grow in numbers with more volunteers, with more outreach programs and activities, and to garner more support and funding for sustainability. With that, we hope to invite you to join us. If you'd like to be part of us, come on board and let's have a difference. For our next series, there's a question here. We are thinking that it probably be like 2 months once or 3 months once, depending on how much we can prepare ourselves to go to the next event. So it takes some time because most of us here, many of them are actually working, and we're trying to find time for us to do this. So yeah, with that, I want to share this. Hold on, yeah. Give me a moment, sorry. Okay, so this is, well, if you like, if you may, you can contribute to us by donating to the Chapal Malay Community Dementia Group. You can use PayNow if you like to. It's up to you. It's no obligation. You can take a picture of this, so in the future, if you like, say you want to donate something, you are able to do that. I just want to say once again, thank you for being here. We really hope that you have gained deeper insight about dementia, and do spread the word about our existence, and we hope to have your support for our future events. Do keep a lookout for our next series, and we also like to say thank you to Alzheimer's Dementia Association, ADA, for giving us this platform. They sponsor us this platform to subscribe. They paid for it, and we are very thankful for that. Thank you, ADA. And we also like to thank every one of you, especially Dr. Radiah as well, to be here and to share this moment with us. And yeah, I'm just going to stop this. So yeah, I also like to invite you to like our Facebook page, which is what you saw, the Dementia Malay Community. You can search on Facebook and you can follow us for any updates in the future. And thank you. Let's say, Mr. Rahman, you have anything else you want to add? Oh, PayNow scan didn't work. Okay, let me try.
Can we have a group photo, please?
Group photo, yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, are we ready, everyone? Okay, now I'm going to take the first page. Put on a good smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, just a minute. Okay.
I've taken 5.
Okay, I'm going to the next page now. Smile. All right, we are done.
Okay. Can you all check if you're able to click on the PayNow? Was it working? Because some people are not working, and some people said that it's working. Okay. All right. So if let's say you like to donate, if let's say PayNow is not working, you can just write to the Chapal Facebook. We'll give you any information on where you can actually send the donation to. But meanwhile, thank you so much for being here. I'm truly appreciative to see many people joining us. And thank you, Dr. Radiah, for gracing this event with us. And thank you, Mr. Anjang, for initiating this group. We hope for the future. And are we doing a doa thing? That's what Abang Rahman say.
No.
No? Okay.
No. Just a small announcement for those of you who like to share this event with your friends and family, right? We have done a recording. So if you're interested, I shall post the link on our Facebook page after I've loaded to YouTube. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna leave this for a while, and I'm trying to put up the pay now again if you want to click on that for one, but the rest of you, we're gonna leave. Thank you so much for being here. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Good night.
See you.
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Radiah.